Okay, ladies, good day and how are you? Welcome to another episode of Needle Stitches. As always, we're live from my studio at Conroe Custom Creations. So grab your notepad, your favorite beverage, and come visit us for a few. Y'all asked for it. You wanted applique, so guess what? This month is all about applique. You know, what is applique? It's so simple. Really, my dear Watson, it's nothing but adding some material to your base material. So, whatever shape, whatever character, whatever anything you have on there that you want to turn into a material instead of stitches, we have voila applique. Now, if you go to the good old dictionary, it says it's a cutout design that is sewn onto or otherwise applied to a piece of material. Well, I couldn't have said it better myself. So, what it boils down to is it's very elementary, my dear Watson. But we're going to have some fun with applique. We're going to do two things. We're going to work with a design that's already set up for applique, and then of course we're going to do it ourselves. So you're going to create your own applique. So guess what your homework's going to be? Okay, I know, I'm in rare form tonight. It's about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm very late with your video, so needless to say, this is what I'm doing. To applique is simply to stitch it. You're going to stitch material down. As you can see, I have a design up on the screen. This is simply from Artistic Threadworks. It's called decorative vases, I believe is what it's called. There came, I don't know, 8 or 10 of them in the package, and it's all different kinds of little vases and flowers and that type of thing. It can be used for anything. There, like I said, there was 8 or 10 of them. You could literally create a quilt with them. You could make a quilt square, add the vases to each square, make each flower a different color. You could do so much with the applique, ladies. It's so much fun. I love applique, needless to say. So let's kind of get started and get to stitching. So start your engines. I hope you've already grabbed that beverage and your pen and paper and sit back, because we're about to take off on an exciting ride into Floriani applique. So let the fun begin. Okay, like I said, everybody is going to do the same design as always. And this one I thought was just kind of cutesy. So what happens with applique is basically you're going to have 3 steps. There is a outline step, which tells you like where to put this flower, and this flower, and this flower, and this flower, and this vase. The leaves are all stitched. They're regular embroidery. But your first thing that's going to happen is that there will be a stitch that will show you where to put your material and how big. So if it doesn't come with specific directions, don't worry about it, because once they do the outline stitch, you'll know that you need a little 2x2 square or you need a 4x4 square. You'll know exactly what you need. So that's your first stitch. Then your second thing that you're going to do, your first item, and the second thing you're going to do is you're going to lay your material down. Once you lay that material down, the very next stitch is called a tack down stitch. 9 times out of 10, that's usually done in some type of satin stitch. Okay, well, in between there, what you do have to do, and I kind of got ahead of myself, once the material is tacked down, you have to trim it. And I do tell you that there are quote unquote special applique scissors, and they're kind of curved and they're very pointed at the end, and they're very lightweight, and I highly recommend you have a pair of these in your toolbox if you don't already have a pair of applique scissors. If you're going to get into applique, they really are helpful because they're just tiny. They're very sharp, which helps because your finished product is going to depend solely on you trimming. If you trim close, don't get too close, you'll cut your stitches, but if you trim close, then when that satin stitch comes along and stitches it down, it's going to be perfect. You won't see anywhere where you cut it. You won't have any little threads poking out. You won't have any little, yucky little burrs sticking out anywhere or whatever. And tell me, I can tell you, I've done it. Trust me. I've got it all done and look back and go, well, shit. Because guess what? You had some stitches sticking out, or you had a little piece of material sticking out because you just didn't trim that point quite right. So the machine can only do so much, so you have to kind of help it along. And by help it along, I mean you have to be able to trim pretty well. Excuse me a minute. So you're going to do your trim, and then it's going to come along, and the next thing it will do will be your satin stitch around whatever design you're working on at that moment. Material, totally up to you. In this design, I did one already, and of course I just stitched it out so that it would be able to be seen by everybody. And I use just scraps. I have a bin that I throw scraps into. I keep them for a lot of reasons, but applique is one of them. I use them for in the hoop projects. I use them for a lot of things. So it takes a lot for me to throw away a scrap of material. When I truly call it a scrap, and that means it's like minute, it goes in the garbage. But anything worth saving that I could use for applique or an in the hoop project, I throw them into my bin, and you'd be surprised whenever I'm stitching or doing stuff. Usually I flip around in my chair and I grab my scrap bin because they just come in that handy. This design was all done in scraps. There is not a piece here that I cut off of a large piece of material. I drug all of this out of my scrap bin and created the vase and all the flowers. So, and you can pick your scraps according to what color satin stitch you're going to put around there. Of course, that one came in pink, and it's kind of a caramel color and an orange and a kind of looks like a brownie color. Well, I can assure you mine is pink, teal, blue, and purple. So I don't follow directions real well. I'm kind of out there usually from one side to the other. I like to pick whatever fabric I want, and I like to pick my own colors, and that's just me. If you want to follow your patterns to the letter, you know that you have a properties box, and down in the sequence area, of course, it's going to tell you step by step what color to use as far as your stitching and that type of stuff, and then you can match your fabric to your stitching if that's what you want to do. But like I said, these make cute little designs that can be used for anything. So let's open this up over here for just a second, and the one thing that you won't see in a design like from Artistic Threadworks is you won't see any instructions as to this is a tack down stitch, or this is your satin stitch, or you won't see that in their designs. I'm sure by now all of you have probably seen a Kathy Quinn video, and You've seen the one, I think we even watched it last year, whereby she introduced the new Applique one-click wonder tool. And when she did that, she explained to everybody that you can put um, directions or notes or um, whatever in each one of these stitches. You can do one for every stitch. I've started creating some of my own applique. So I've gotten to the point now that I'm getting very used to using that note feature, because that way it tells the person exactly what to do. I was creating a bag the other day, and in the hoop bag, and I did all my notes and all my instructions with that tool, and it is super super handy. And it was a little bit of work to set up, because needless to say, none of the notes or none of the standard directions were in there. So but once you do it one time and you name it, for instance, the satin stitch, the tack down stitch, or the layout stitch. Once you set those up in your notes and you name them, you never have to do it again. So if you create appliques every day, all you have to do after that is just click on the name of the the direction that you want to use, and it's all typed in for you. So it's that's a nice feature too. You don't have to type them and reinvent the wheel every time you go to do something, which I absolutely hate. I love cookie cutter type functions where you can use them over and over and over, and you're not constantly reinventing the wheel, because that's just time consuming. And unfortunately, if you get into doing this more than just a hobby, time is money. So it means that you're just wasting time typing, instead of you could be, stitching another design, digitizing a design, creating a new design, whatever the case may be. So needless to say, I look for all of those little one-click wonder things, and I love them. I absolutely love them. So with that said, that pretty much will take you through using a pre-made, a bought design, or a freebie. These were all freebies. These are not something I paid for. These are freebies, and like I said, they're from Artistic Threadworks. If y'all have never heard of Artistic Threadworks, I love their site, and once you sign up with them, you will get new designs constantly. They send out new designs. So, and they'll come to you automatically in your mailbox, and then all you have to do is click on them and download them. I have an extensive file of Artistic Threadworks, and I really like their designs. I've never had a bad one. Not gonna say I never will, but I never have. Everything I've ever done with them or from their files has always stitched out beautifully. So and that to me is a big plus, because I don't want to use sites or designers where I'm constantly going to have to either redo it or fix it to be able to use it. So that means a lot to me. Like I said, in my world, time becomes money, but better yet, waste of time is just something I don't have the luxury of doing, because I try to balance too many balls at one time normally. So needless to say, I'm always looking for the ways to save time. Applique can be used for so much, ladies. It can be used to decorate clothing. It can be used for decorator household items. It can be used for quilt blocks, and God, the list is endless. And like I said, it's so much fun. If you get used to doing applique, or if you get started on it, you'll be hooked. By the time you come back to class next month, I guarantee you every one of you will tell me you're hooked on applique if you've never done it before. If you're already doing it, then you know exactly what I'm talking about, and you know that it's so easy to get hooked on. It's not hard at all. Um, Making your own applique with Floriani is so simple, because the nice thing about Floriani is they do give us all of these little buttons down here on the right side, almost to middle, comes to right about here where this yellow fan, is. And these are all one-click wonders. And those one-click wonders do just that, whatever it may be, whether it's this green one, which is applique, or it's the, I forget which one it is. That's white. That's not the one I want. But there's the auto knockdown stitches. And those are absolutely invaluable. I love the knockdown stitch one-click wonder. I use it all the time. I use it for so many different things and in different ways. That's another thing that I encourage you to do is, you know, play. Figure things out that you can do. I mean, if you're doing something, stop and think about what you might have on your screen that you can use. And it may be the one-click wonder. It might be the white lace tool. It could be any of those. It could be the applique tool. But, you know, don't be afraid to step out of your comfortable box and try something different. And as I tell everybody, what's the worst that could happen? It doesn't work, and you've got to sit down and figure out a little more on how to do it. Maybe bring it up in class. Maybe give me a text or something and say, hey, I started to do this and this didn't work, and see if I can help you. But don't be afraid to step out of your box and try some of these different things. This program has so much to offer. So, creating your own can be, let me open up a new screen here. Hold on one second. Give me a second. And, okay. Sorry, I had to move my screen over. I kind of knocked myself out. Couldn't see. Okay. So we have a blank screen. And you say, well, I may have an applique in all those files I've got for this project I want to do, but I really can't think of where it might be, or I really don't have the time to search for it. Well, that's easy enough. There's a blank screen. And the nice thing about that blank screen, it's like a palette that you do artwork on. It is endless what you can do on that blank screen. If you can imagine it, if you can think of it, you can make it happen on the Floriani screen. So, if you are, let's say, doing something for one of your grandchildren, you got to do a t-shirt, or maybe somebody's, having a baby, whatever. I use, I did a monkey bib. My daughter's best friend, just like my daughter, is pregnant and getting married, and we just went to her baby shower. One of the bibs I gave her had kind of a caricature type monkey on it, and instead of just stitching it out, I decided to take the body and make it an applique so that I could put a piece of material on there, and it kind of looked like the monkey had clothes on. So, and it just turned out ridiculously cute. And I don't say that because I did it. It just turned out cute because I used some little flowery type material, which made the illusion of it had clothes on even more, possible to think of. And it took nothing to do. So he took a bib that cost me, I think, about $1 um, at Tuesday morning, and I added an applique to it, and it was the cutest little gift. You could sell them, you could give them away, you could do whatever. But so keep in mind you have up in your shapes, you have custom shapes. These custom shapes are great for little applique things, depending on what you want to do. Maybe, like I said, there's a baby gift that you need to do, or there's, a baby gift for a shower. Either way, if you've got a onesie and you're gonna decorate that onesie, well, let's see, we could put a bear on it, and that's just super, super fun and super, super simple. Um, and keep in mind, you could take this bear and you could give it a couple little button eyes and a little mouth, and it would be just too cute. At the same time, if you use your imagination a little bit, and I'm just going to use my Beezer tool to kind of give you the idea of what I'm talking about, but you could come along here and in this area right here. So if I highlight this part of the bear and say this is its actual body in my mind, and so this area right here. Okay, so this whole section that we just did, and I don't think, I must have not hit my close tool real, oh, I didn't. I only have part of it. So basically, sorry about that, and I do this all the time, so why it didn't work for me, I have no idea. But anyway, if you come up here and you get your tool and you come and do, like I only did this to just show you the area I would do, and I would make it go like it has little pants on, and then come up here, and that's going to be the sleeve on either side, and then you got to kind of curve it around and make a necklace. And you understand that you stop there, and if you do a shift C, it'll close it for you. You come over here and hit, now we have the whole thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here, we're going to delete this one, and we're going to delete this one where I decided to screw up. So there's my little body, and I can make that a run stitch, and then I can change its color, and it kind of highlights it for you so that you get kind of an idea of what I'm trying to say here. Now, if we took that shape and we created an applique stitch out of that, then what we could do is we could take a piece of material, put it on the bunny, on the teddy bear. You can tell it's late, and all of a sudden the teddy bear has clothes on. Then, like I said, you add a little, you can either add eyes, which is, here we go again. I go up, I personally don't try to draw them. I go up here and I get my circle, and I come out here and I just make a little oblong thing like that, and turn it into a run stitch, and let me give it some fill so that it has eyes, and let's give it a color. Oh, it's got little brown eyes. Okay, so we're going to take that eyeball and we're going to put it over here. Now, if we right click and we tell it to copy, and we right click and we tell it to paste, we know we have another eyeball on top of that eyeball that matches perfectly. So now I just gave it two little eyeballs, and I think y'all can see where I'm going with this, is you can take it and so simply make it just the cutest little thing you've ever seen. And if you draw one out kind of oblong like that, and we do a shift C and we go get our run stitch and turn that into a run stitch, and once again let's fill it, and oh, we need a different color here. Oh, that's way red. Let's do a little something a little different. Alright, so let's make it this color, and we're going to drag it over here, and now it's got kind of a little mouth. So what we did was we gave it some eyes and a mouth, and we're going to put some clothes on it. So if we take this shape and we come down here and we say, I want to make that an applique. Voila, one click wonder. What it just did was it turned that whole area into all 3 stitches that you need for you with the click of a mouse. And that's why I absolutely love Floriani. I love this program. I wouldn't use anything else, but that to me is just priceless, because a year ago we had to do each one of the steps by hand to create our own applique. Then when they did the huge update and they started putting in all the one-click wonder tools, fortunately for us, one of them was an applique tool. So now you take any piece of scrap, because this bunny's only about 2 3/4 inches, and not even 2.5 by about 2 1/4. So he's not very big, but you can make him bigger. You know, put a box around him and make him bigger if that's what you need. But my point is that you can now take any piece of material, any scrap, anything, depending on if you're going to make it a girl bear or a boy bear, and you can throw a piece of material in there, and voila, kind of like, you know, magic, you've got an applique bear that you created. Now you can use that for a onesie, you could put it on a little t-shirt, you could make a quilt block out of it. You could do so much with this that it's just unbelievable. And of course, save them, and the next time you need something, well, you already created it. So you'll put it on whatever the next application is going to be in a matter of seconds, just by clicking and putting it there, and you don't have to do anything because you already did it one time. You set it up, you saved it, and it'll be that way forever. So that's, like I said, it's so simple, and it's so easy, and it's so much fun. That is pretty much how to deal with a bought design or creating your own. And we're going to basically leave it right here, because of course we got a lot to talk about in class. But I do want to tell you a couple of things that we are going to bring up. It was brought to my attention that we may have needed to do a little bit more detail in the convert to outlines. So we're going to talk about that in class on Wednesday. And also I want to start something new. Y'all will be bringing in your homework for the very first time, and we'll have, of course, round robin type show and tell. And we're going to start having pick of the month. And pick of the month will be one of two things. Either, and y'all can decide this. This is going to be your decision. Everybody will vote on who they think had the best homework, or we can draw numbers, or whatever you want to do. But whoever has the best homework for the month will go home with something as a prize. So It's a little bit more incentive to put a little effort behind that homework and to make it just super special. And I think it'll just be something fun. I thought of it the other day and I thought, ooh, that would be so much fun. We can have pick of the month. Um, and then that person will go home with something that um, will remind them that, you know, they were the pick of the month. So that's my whole new thing. Um, is going to open up a whole new world for you guys. So I want you to have fun with it. I want you to enjoy it. We're going to wrap this up because we've spent about 30 minutes with me yakking at you. And I like to keep these short and sweet and to the point, but hopefully very, very informative. So I think we went through all the basics, and that will get you started for class. I'm very, very sorry I'm late this month. I've had just a crazy time, and it's getting even crazier around here because, of course, we're just a little over a month away from wedding day. So things are really getting busier and busier and busier every day. So just going to have to bear with me and give me a little slack between this month and next month, and then after that things should calm down until we have to do baby day, which will be in August. So I will see you guys on Wednesday. Enjoy the video and make sure you make notes of any questions you might have when you're watching it, and that way we can discuss those on Wednesday. Have a great night and blessings to all.